Good evening, Warner Robins. My name is Jason Esteves, and I'm the proud state senator from Senate District 35, representing parts of West Atlanta, Cobb, and Fulton County. It is an honor to be in front of all of you. I am also running to be the next governor of the state of Georgia. I am proud to be the husband to my wife, Ariel, a nurse practitioner from Albany, Georgia, the father of Jaden, 9-year-old Jaden, and 7-year-old Zoe, 7-year-old going on 16 sometimes it feels like. Some of y'all know what that feels like. But my journey started long before that. Started in Columbus, Georgia, where I was raised by two parents who didn't go to college, but they gave me everything I needed. They gave me love. They gave me work ethic. And they gave me the values of loving my God and loving my neighbors. It is those values that I took with me into the classroom, where my very first job out of college was teaching middle school social studies. By the way, that job is still the hardest job I've ever had in my life. If you're an educator, a retired educator, please stand up so we can give you an applause. Thank you all for doing the work. And I know we have superintendents in the room, we have school board members in the room. Thank you for doing the work, but you educators doing the work to teach our future, prepare our future. When I started in the classroom, I was teaching 150 kids who were no different than anybody in this room. They were just as willing to work hard. They were just as smart. They had the same kinds of dreams. But because of where they lived, they did not have the same kinds of opportunities. And as a 21-year-old teacher, I felt that that was wrong. It was unfair. And I did everything that I could in the classroom to change the circumstances for those children, because I wanted to make sure that they had a fair shot. It is that passion from the classroom that I took with me to law school at Emory University, where I wanted to become a policymaker and change a system that was unfair for too many. It's from there that I joined the Atlanta Public Schools Board of Education. When I was elected during a time in the wake of a cheating scandal that rocked the country, where you literally had a superintendent, teachers, and principals getting arrested. My colleagues and I worked hard to rebuild trust at a time when it was broken, not just with teachers and parents, but with students. We worked with the community to rebuild that trust. We redirected money from the administration into the classrooms. We gave teachers pay raises that they deserved. And because of the work that we did, when we started in APS, it was graduating about 55% of its children. By the time I was done, we were graduating over 80%, and now APS has a higher graduation rate than the state of Georgia. And while that deserves a round of applause. But APS is not perfect. And what I learned in the classroom and on the school board is that we rely on our teachers to solve the problems that we have in our communities. If a student came to school hungry, then teachers were expected to do something about it. If they came to school with mental health issues, then teachers had to do something about it. If they needed clothing, if their parents needed jobs, then teachers had to be creative about how to solve those problems. I ran for the state senate because I believe that our teachers and our students deserve better. And when I joined the state senate, I worked hard across the aisle to address issues, going after corporate landlords who were buying up all of our homes and raising our rents. I worked hard to make sure that we were expanding access to health care, to fully fund our education system, and to save senior citizens in Atlanta millions of dollars off of their property taxes. But as I was doing this work, I found politicians like Burt Jones, Chris Carr, and Jeff Duncan distracted by politics, putting politics ahead of people. I'm running for governor because people deserve better than what they're getting in their leadership today. Georgia deserves better. We have a state where 70% of our children are not reading on grade level by the time they reach 4th grade. 70% of our children are not reading on grade level by the time they reach fourth grade. Where we have the #1 worst rate of maternal mortality, especially for black women, in the entire country. Where rural hospitals are closing. Where our seniors are living in poverty. And for those of you who don't know, Georgia has the 3rd highest rate of seniors living in poverty. All of that while our governor sits on $16 billion of your tax dollars. Y'all, Georgia deserves better. We need leaders who will stay in the fight and deliver for Georgians all across this state. As governor, I will make sure that I stand up to the chaos and the destruction that is going on in Washington, D.C., costing Georgians millions of dollars, thousands of jobs, sowing chaos and fear about the future of our country and our state. I will also fight to expand Medicaid, but also make sure that we're increasing the number of rural health centers and hospitals, increasing access to private health insurance. We also need a housing revolution, because housing has gotten too expensive all across this state. Whether you're renting, whether you're buying your first home, whether you're trying to downsize and retire, you can't do so because it's gotten so expensive. We need to take corporate landlords and kick them out of the state of Georgia. We need to make sure that we're increasing and actually lowering the costs that it costs to build a home in this state, whether it's an apartment, whether it's a single family home, whether it's a duplex. We need big houses, we need small houses, we need cheap houses, we need expensive houses. Georgia needs over 300,000 homes in the next 4 years. I'm also going to make sure that we invest in our families and invest in our children. We need to cut down the cost of child care, because in this state, child care costs more than in-state tuition at your local university. For y'all who haven't had babies in a while, I'm gonna say that again. It costs more to send your child to Middle Georgia State University. It's actually cheaper to send your child to Middle Georgia State University than it is to send them to daycare. But on the back end, we have to make sure that we give our young adults a real option at a good paying job. If they want to go to college, we should give them the Hope Scholarship, but we should also give them a needs-based scholarship. Georgia is one of 2 states that does not have needs-based scholarships. We have to make sure that our schools are fully funded, but we also have to make sure that we have apprenticeship programs and a strong technical college system for the students who want to go straight into work. I also want to make sure that we're investing in small businesses. And as a small business owner myself, my wife owns an urgent care and we own 2 restaurants, one in Columbus and one in Macon. We own the Flying Biscuit Cafe in downtown Macon. And I know that small businesses are the backbone of this state. And we should be showing our small business owners the same kind of love that Brian Kemp shows Hyundai and Rivian. That's why I'm proposing a $1 billion fund to provide low-interest loans to our small business owners, because I know that the #1 barrier to opening a small business, especially for black businesses, is access to capital. Y'all, this is the kind of vision that we need for Georgia. A vision for a Georgia where it doesn't matter where you live, it doesn't matter where you're from, but you have the opportunity to prosper, not based on luck, but based on hard work. Y'all, we deserve a governor that is going to focus on the future, cut through the chaos, and make sure that we deliver results for families all across this state. I've been working crisscrossing this state from South Georgia all the way to North Georgia, from the coast all the way to my hometown of Columbus, talking about how we're going to keep and grow the money in people's pockets. Not being afraid to go in red counties, just like we're going in blue counties. That's the work that it's going to take to win this election next year. And I'm confident that if we work together over the next year, if we stand together over the next year, if we organize together over the next year, we will not only win this governorship in 2026, we're going to change the face of leadership in this state for generations to come. Thank you all so much for having me here this evening. My name is Jason Esteves. You can follow me on jasonesteves.com, @JasonEsteves. Again, thank you so much.